Good morning, everyone. We'll continue with our media availability this morning. Obviously with Matt Kenseth, driver of the number 20 Dollar General Toyota. And Matt, obviously here at Bristol, a lot going on this weekend. What are your thoughts heading into this weekend's race?
Well, I enjoy coming to Bristol. You know, anything can happen. The last few races we've had really fast cars here. We're fortunate enough to win one of them and wrecked another two. So I'm hoping this is our turn to win one, because it's been every other race. So, you know, I like racing here. It's always really challenging, really fast with this car and these rules. So I'm looking forward to getting out there today and hopefully getting it where we need to handle for tomorrow, and hopefully getting qualified good, because that's always an advantage here as well.
Okay, we'll open up for questions. Okay, we'll start over here.
Jay Pennell, Fox Sports. A lot of people are saying that you're a lock into the chase with the points buffer that you have. Do you feel that way? Or with 3 races left, what's the pressure on you guys, you as a driver and you guys as a team, to either find a win or further that points gap?
Yeah, I mean, I never feel like you're a lock for anything until you're really a lock for something, you know, until it's mathematically impossible to be out. I never feel like you're in. So, you know, it's been, you know, we want to win. We've been doing the best we can do every week. Obviously, with the season we had last year, I didn't think we'd be sitting here in the end of August without a win, for sure. You know, but like I said, we're doing everything we can do. We're doing the best we can. It's been an interesting year. We started off, I felt like, really solid. And then I feel like our performance has got, you know, steadily better. But we've just been caught up in a lot of stuff. You know, some of it, I guess, is your own doing. And if we were running better, you wouldn't be caught up in it. You can always look at that. But you know, speedway wrecks. Last week, the 10 cars spun out there in front of us, and we got caught up in that wreck. We just been caught in a lot of stuff that's really cost us a lot of good finishes. And you know, even though they're not all DNFs on the stat sheet, there's a lot of races that we weren't running competitively at the end because we've been in accidents. So. You know, so to still be where we are in the points, I guess, is a good thing with all the trouble that we've had. But certainly we want to go win. But you can only do the best you can. You can't force them. You know, you go out and race as hard as you can every week and try to get the best result you can. And you know, hopefully that'll you'll get some wins.
Okay, we'll stay over on this side. Claire, we'll come over here to Brad after that, I think.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. You have 3 wins at Bristol, which ties Las Vegas and Auto Club as your most prolific. This would be the opportunity for you, obviously, but what is it about this track for you?
Well, I mean, every week's an opportunity. You know, I've always liked this track. It's changed a lot through the years, not just with the configuration change, but with the car changes as well. You know, so I think what it takes right now to run good and have a shot to win and be competitive is way different than it was, you know, before this car and before the configuration, all that kind of stuff. So like everywhere, it changes. Last year I felt like we had a pretty good setup for the track, and we were fast both races. And in the spring it was pretty fast as well. And again, got caught up in a wreck, slowed up for a wreck, and got ran over from behind, and you know, that kind of ruined our day. But you know, it's like most tracks. I think if you have a good setup for it, that's the first thing, is having a fast car. But it is a track I enjoy. You can still you know, attack it and be pretty aggressive. So it's a fun track. It's a lot of work the way it is right now, and with these rules and this cars and everything, you got to attack it every single corner. But that also makes it a lot of fun.
Okay, we'll go over here to Brad, then we'll go to Marty, and then Brian. Okay, Brad over here.
Brad Norman with NASCAR.com. Matt, all the way to your extreme left. A lot of guys have said, you know, we need to come out here and challenge for the win, but if we don't win, we need to get as many points as we can. How as a driver do you find that sweet spot, or do you need to pick one or the other?
Well, you know, you don't. You finish as best as you can every week, and you hope that's a win. You know, so I mean, the days that you have cars that are good enough to be up front and to win with, you hope that you have everything else that goes along with that. You know, you don't make a mistake on the track. You don't get caught up in a wreck. You qualify good enough. You have good pit stops, good strategy. You know, you do all those things to have a shot to win. You know, but you take what you have every week and you make the best you can with it, and you know, finish as high as you can every week. I mean, if you could win every week, you do it. So, there's a lot of competition out here. You do the best you can every week, and like I say, hopefully there's days that you have cars good enough to win, and you have everything go along with that, and you can get some wins. If you don't, you try to do the best you can with what you have, and finish as high as you can, just like you always have since you started racing.
Okay, we'll go to Marty, then Brian, then we'll come back over to Alan.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Matthew, good morning.
Good morning.
This is a bit of a hypothetical, so bear with me a minute.
All right, I'll try.
A year ago, you and Casey had a hell of a race here. From our vantage point outside the race car, it looked like he could have turned you if he wanted. Let's say he didn't. He chose not to. So let's say this year, given the context of the winning and all that stuff, the guy needs a win to make the chase. Would your reaction be anger, knowing that context, and would you expect him to race you differently this time around, given the rules now versus what they were last year?
Well, you're right. That's very hypothetical. There's a lot of moving parts to that. I mean, that was the big combination last year, or the big conversation last year. But man, unless you're in those cars, it's kind of hard to understand. It's not it's not the old Bristol where you're right on the bottom. It's not the old cars 2 generations ago where the bumpers don't line up and you could barely touch somebody and knock them offline and knock them out of the way easily, without being caught in that wreck. You're all right around the wall, almost wide open. I shouldn't say almost wide open, but you're in the gas a lot compared to what it used to be. So, I don't know. I think every situation is different, and I think whatever happens, you deal with it. But if the roles are reversed, I don't really race anybody any different. I mean, I've never been in a race that I didn't want to win. I've never felt like there's not urgency to win. If you're in that spot and you want to get the win, you're going to want to do whatever you can to get that win, but you're also not going to, most people anyway, I don't think are going to go, wrong someone and wreck somebody for the win and do all that stuff. Because first of all, it's not as easy as it looks from in here, from the cameras. And, second of all, you're probably going to get that favor returned to you somewhere along the line. So, I don't know. Everybody races as hard as they can for the win, I think. And, if you got the opportunity and you can take it and make the pass, you're going to do it. And, if you can't, you're going to finish second, I guess.
Okay. Go to Brian.
Brian Nilsson, MRN. So with the 12 guys who have won races this year, each of them have kind of talked about how they are at this point preparing for the chase in those first 4 races especially. So given your position, not having won yet, but pretty secure in the points, how do you approach, trying to lock into the chase versus preparing for the probability that you'll be competing for the championship and need to prepare? How do you balance that?
Yeah, I just don't think it really changes that much. I mean, I guess there's some situations where it could. You maybe have a favorite car or something like that you're going to save for the first race if you're in or something like that. But other than that, I just don't really feel like it changes that much. I mean, I always think you want to run the best you can every week. You want to win whenever you can. You want to have that momentum, carried into the chase. For the guys that have already won, you get more bonus points for the first round if you can win again. There's a lot of incentives to win races. So I don't really buy the fact that anybody's really folding it in and getting ready for the chase and saying, okay, well, we don't care about the next 3 weeks. We're just going to, get ready to go race, in a few weeks at Chicago. So I don't know if I buy that. And plus, especially at a place like this, there's nothing you're going to learn here that's going to apply to anywhere else we go to the rest of the year. So, I mean, I think it's a race. I think it's a huge event. Everybody wants to win at Bristol. It's the Bristol night race. I think it's one of the most hyped, intense, entertaining races that we have all year. And I think that all 43 guys are fired up for that, and they're going to go out and race to win no matter what they're telling everybody.
Over to your right, Matt. We'll go to Alan.
Alan Cavana, NASCAR.com. Your old team, Roush, is going through some transitions right now, and Greg was just talking about the ups and downs of a career and a team and an organization. I just wanted to get your perspective, how tough that can be for a driver, all the transitions you guys can go through.
Well, I mean, I can't, speak of anything that's really going on over there. I'm, almost 2 years removed from that situation, or even a little longer, really. So, so I don't know. I mean, it's a great race team. They're bringing some new sponsors back into the sport, which is really exciting. which you've seen a few people do that. JGR too, getting another team started and bringing another new sponsor into the sport. So I think all that is good. I think that's all a good sign for the sport, and for the organizations, the drivers, really everybody involved. So, Greg, he's always been a contender to win races and race for championships, and I don't see that ever changing.
Okay, we'll go to Matt.
Matt Weaver, PopularSpeed.com. Matt, in years past, before the reconfiguration, to pass a guy, you have to move him up the track. You really can't do that now because you're running right up against the wall. So how do you complete passes at Bristol now?
I guess you got to figure out how to move them down the track.
There's no skill or strategy to that.
It's different because the groove's on the top. But it's not. It's not any different than figuring out how to pass somebody anywhere else. You got to figure out how to get your car working, good enough to go where they're not. So you got to figure out how to get a good enough run. If they're on the top, you got to figure out how to get a good enough run to get your car turning good enough on the bottom to finish a pass just like anywhere. But certainly it is a lot different than it used to be. You have to plan out your moves a lot more, it seems like, because it is easy to get stuck in the bottom and get passed by other cars. So it's certainly different.
And one more question on the the new Gen 6 rules package that they're experimenting with. Is there a certain direction that you want to see them go for 2015?
Well, I thought that test at Michigan was really interesting. They went through all the high downforce stuff and less power and kind of the direction they went this year, but even greater. And it was honestly really bad. It was really singled out. You couldn't pass. You could draft a little more in a straightaway, but you're almost wide open in the corners, and it was really bad. And then just at the very end, they took all the downforce off and gave us all our power back and did all that. And it was pretty much unanimous from the drivers. And I think if you watch a film, it's better too. It was awesome. It was like going back 15 years in time or something like that. You could pass actually in the corners instead of worry about drafting on a straightaway. You get one guy in the bottom, one guy in the top. The air wasn't so turbulent. You couldn't get outside of people, so the track got really wide. It was like the track aged 10 years. And it was awesome. Like, everybody got out with a smile on their face. You could actually wouldn't feel as guilty cashing your paycheck on Friday anymore because you actually had to drive the cars like you used to. I think you'd get some single car spins again and some people that stepped over the line, and you really had to drive the car. It's not just stuck and glued to the track, kind of like the more air they put on them. That's how they just get stuck and glued to the track, and the front guys got a way bigger advantage. So I think everybody was really excited about it. I don't know what NASCAR will do with it, but it sure was a lot of fun to drive and rewatching some of it and looking at data and doing all that. It seemed like the racing was better too, and if your car was handling a little bit better, you could actually make the pass instead of just being stuck there in dirty air. So I think everybody's excited about that. Who knows which direction they'll go, but I think all the drivers and the people working on them and everything are hoping they lead in that direction.
Okay, we'll go to two more questions. We'll go to Chris and then finish up with Stan.
Matt, Chris Knight, Catchfence.com. Is this weekend the crapshoot before the chase, or do you think that Richmond may be the crapshoot?
I don't know what you mean, I guess, exactly.
Like, do you expect all vendors or galore this weekend, or do you think that they'll wait till Richmond to do that?
I don't know if it'll be any more or less than normal. This track, is really fast. Everybody's really running really close together, so certainly there's always a chance to have problems and to get caught up in wrecks. So I don't think it'd be any more or less than normal. I think everybody's going to go out there and race hard and hope to be up front and get a win. And like we talked about, passing is a little bit more difficult and different than what it used to be. So it gets exciting really quick when you start catching lap cars and have trouble getting around them, and the guys are catching the leaders, from behind. So I think the racing is going to be really good. I think the Richmond spring race was really good. It would have been better without the last two cautions because I think we would have won. But other than that, it was a really entertaining race. There's a lot of beating and banging, close racing at the end of that one as well. So I think, especially with this aero package, the slower tracks we go to, to me it feels like it's a little bit more mechanical, and the racing's a little bit better. So I think the racing's going to be real exciting from here all the way to the end of the year, but certainly until we get to the chase.
Okay, we'll finish up with Stan.
Over to your left again. Stan Creekmore with RPMtonight.com. Matt, how do you convince one of your fans if they walk up to you and say, do you feel as confident this year with your ability to win the championship as you did last year?
Well, I wouldn't convince them of that. Well, I mean, unless I'm misunderstanding the question, but I mean, last year, we had 4 wins up to this point. We're on a few poles. We led a ton of laps. I mean, obviously, we haven't performed like that this year. So, I mean, obviously, last year, the way we were performing, my confidence for winning a championship, assuming we get in the chase, was way greater, of course. I mean, that should be pretty obvious. I mean, just because you're in the chase doesn't mean you have a chance to win a championship. There's going to be a lot of cars that get in the chase that aren't going to have a prayer winning a championship. So, that's the way it's always been. And with having 16 cars instead of 12, there's even going to be more of them. So, with that being said, my confidence isn't near as high with how we're running at this point this year than last year. I have a ton of confidence in my team and organization, and my pit crew's been doing better than ever. But, we've just been off on speed a little bit. So certainly with only 3 weeks to go to the chase, even if all 3 of us get in, we realize that we all have to be running better to have a legitimate shot, at winning it. And we're all working really hard at that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Matt. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks.